1. The sacrifice poles. I'd been making the rounds of the sacrifice poles the day we heard my brother had escaped. I already knew something was going to happen. The factory had told me. At the north end of the island, near the tumbled remains of the slip, where the handle of the rusty winch still creaks in the easterly wind, I had 2 poles on the far face of the last dune. One of the poles held a rat head with 2 dragonflies, the other a seagull and 2 mice. I was just sticking one of the mouse heads back on when the birds went up in the evening air, caw-calling and screaming, wheeling over the path through the dunes where it went near their nests. I made sure the head was secure, then clambered to the top of the dune to watch with my binoculars. Diggs, the policeman from the town, was coming down the path on his bike, pedalling hard, his head down as the wheel sank part way into the sandy surface. He got off the bike at the bridge and left it propped against the suspension cables, then walked to the middle of the swaying bridge where the gate is. I could see him press the button on the phone. He stood for a while, looking round about at the quiet dunes and the settling birds. He didn't see me, because I was too well hidden. Then my father must have answered the buzzer in the house, because Diggs stooped slightly and talked into the grill beside the button, and then pushed the gate open and walked over the bridge, onto the island and down the path towards the house. When he disappeared behind the dunes, I sat for a while scratching my crotch as the wind played with my hair and the birds returned to their nests. I took my catapult from my belt, selected a 1/2-inch steely, sighted carefully, then sent the big ball bearing arcing over the river, the telephone poles and the little suspension bridge to the mainland. The shot hit the "Keep Out, Private Property" sign with a thud I could just hear, and I smiled. It was a good omen. The factory hadn't been specific, it rarely is, but I had the feeling that whatever it was warning me about was important, and I suspected it would be bad, but I had been wise enough to take the hint and check my poles, and now I knew my aim was still good, things were still with me. I decided not to go straight back to the house. Father didn't like me to be there when Diggs came, and anyway, I still had a couple of poles to check before the sun went down. I jumped and slid down the slope of the dune into its shadow, then turned at the bottom to look back up at those small heads and bodies as they watched over the northern approaches too.